The novel Dune by Frank Herbert, written in 1965, and the video game Halo 2, created by Bungie in 2004, effectively explore the narrative of the impact of fanatical religion on culture.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
When a responder experiences these narratives, they question their own beliefs so that they can further understand what they are controlled by and whether this leads to empowerment for good or devastation of their culture.
When you first saw Halo, were you blinded by its majesty?
Blinded?
Paralyzed? Dumbstruck?
No.
Yet the humans were able to evade your ships, land on the sacred ring, and desecrate it with their filthy footsteps.
Noble hierarchs, surely you understand that once the parasite attacked...
There will be order in this council.
The narrative of Halo 2 is centered around the effects of religious fanaticism in an alien covenant run by manipulative leaders. The effects of negative religious fanaticism devastating cultures is shown through dialogue and film techniques. Halo 2 is especially impactful because its format is a video game, which means that its events are much more personal to the audience because they directly experience the impacts of the event, which is something that a movie cannot achieve.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
The main plot is a dual narrative of Master Chief, a human cyborg super soldier, and the Arbiter, a shamed Sangheili military leader. Chief is portrayed as the enforcer for good, and the audience experience the impact of the great journey on Earth through him. The Arbiter, on the other hand, after being betrayed by his race, learns that the great journey is a lie, and the audience sees the effects of this in the Alien Covenant. The manipulation of the prophets, the leaders of the Alien Covenant, is evident in their names: Truth, Mercy, and Regret, which is ironic antinomisia, because in reality, their covenant is grounded on lies and deception, so their names are a use of political manipulation. Lighting and film techniques are always used in cutscenes to show the divine nature of the prophets, by showering them in holy light and using low shots to emphasize their importance. This is contrasted when they are alone, by not using the techniques, which shows the extent of their hypocrisy and how they use their followers' obvious compulsion to worship something above themselves for their own glory. The Arbiter uses techniques that directly contradict the prophets, such as low lighting and high angle shots, which show how far he has fallen from a once great military leader. Dialogue is also a very important technique that is used to emphasize the fanatic nature of the aliens, with phrases like the great journey and divine will commonly being spoken with religious fervor. This implies that the organization of the Covenant is one of religious fanaticism, and anyone who disagrees is immediately branded a heretic and shamed.
Are you sure?
I shall light this holy ring, release its cleansing flame, and burn a path into the divine beyond.
Pretty much.
Dear humanity, we regret being alien bastards. We regret coming to Earth.
And we most definitely regret the Corps just blew up our raggedy-ass fleet. Hoorah!
The extent of the Prophet's hold on the followers of the Great Journey is especially evident when Tartarus, a giant hammer-wielding henchman of the Prophets, is confronted by the Arbiter about how the Prophets have lied to him. Tartarus cannot comprehend that his whole life has been a lie and retaliates out of frustration and rage. Through these devices, Halo 2 creates a deeply personal narrative that affects the audience and causes them to think about what they believe in and whether it devastates their culture. The audience is shown that a person's motives may entirely depend on what they have been told their whole life. Even if they have been lied to, they sometimes still cannot accept the fact that they are wrong. The narrative of Halo 2 encourages the audience to ask themselves one question: are your beliefs being hijacked for the good of one group? The narrative of Dune is one that highlights the positive aspects of religious fanaticism through dialogue and intense descriptions of imagery and events. It provides a viewpoint for how religion can promote a just cause and encourage people to rise up and fight against people who take advantage of them. The plot of Dune is about Paul Atreides, the son of a duke and a Bene Gesserit, a member of a religious cult that aims to fulfill a prophecy to create a messiah. Paul and his mother must join the Fremen, a fanatical military cult of indigenous people of the planet Arrakis, who have been trodden over their whole lives, after the house of Atreides has been destroyed by the Harkonian house. It is here that the Fremen realize that Paul is the messiah they have been waiting for. Throughout Dune, techniques like religious dialogue spoken by characters reinforce the significance of Paul as a messianic figure, such as when the Fremen guide notices that Paul knew how to fit his stillsuit correctly. "He shall know your ways as though born to them," which is a legend among the Fremen. Or when Paul notices that there are Fremen disguised as off-worlders. Another man says, "The Listen al-Gaib shall see through all subterfuge." Prophecies and religious dialogue are very important as well, as they are the basis upon which the Bene Gesserit and Fremen wait patiently for their Muad'Dib, their Messiah. These are shown through interior monologue in Fremen and Bene Gesserit culture, and quoted thoroughly through the narrative, as well as in the pre-chapter research, which is set later and written by the daughter of the Emperor who controls the galaxy. Imagery is very important to Dune, as it is commonly used to describe important landscapes in immense detail, such as the Fremen talking to Paul. The desert wind whispers tales of adventure, resilience, and the allure of the unknown, and nowhere are these whispered stories more compelling than with it. Iconic dialogue like this shows the audience how the Fremen worship their planet with religious fanaticism. It is this planet that fuels the fight for the Fremen, and Paul is the one who can empower them to save it through a jihad, a holy war. Significant events are also described with intense detail, which shows the audience that Paul is special, and why the Fremen trust him to lead their army to war. For example, when Paul successfully rides the biggest sandworm they have ever seen, it shows the epic narrative of people in the face of adversity, people who have been stomped over their whole lives and have never fought back, and how they can be completely empowered for a change with a Messiah.
This is Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
In conclusion, Halo 2 shows the negative aspects of religious fanaticism and encourages the audience to question their beliefs to ensure that they empower them for good and don't devastate their culture. However, Dune portrays religious fanaticism as a wildly positive thing and shows that a messianic figure can empower normal people to fight for what they know is right. Fanatical religious groups in the world that take advantage of people's beliefs, such as ISIS, naturalist cults, and churches of people like Benny Hinn, need to be questioned by their followers, who need to find out if they are being taken advantage of, and whether it is causing their culture harm. Not only this, but it is also of utmost importance for legitimate believers of religions to abolish examples of their beliefs that have been corrupted, yet still claim to be a part of that belief system. If people are not vocal about their core beliefs, how can outsiders know what is correct and what has been hijacked by others for their own glory? Audiences from all points of life and all worldviews should engage with Halo 2 and Dune, because by experiencing these narratives, they can apply the insight into negative religious fanaticism to their own lives, and it can help them further understand whether their beliefs empower them for good or devastate their culture.